Hey,
Well, oh,
it's the DA Wrestling Podcast. Doug,
yeah, I'm
news
here.
time.
I'm here. I went to a Hamilton Forge game today. They give
I
us
saw
all
that.
free. I went. They give us free gold medals.
Oh, it makes you feel good about yourself, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, the league's only been around since 2019, and they've won four of the five championships. So
I guess they're a pretty good team. Better,
yeah,
better than the Tie Cats.
they won today,
They
two to
did.
2-1.
In today's news, though, uh, John Moxley becomes the new IWGP champion, beating Naito. Vince sells everything he has in stock of TKO. AEW
And
fall from
Jacob
AEW
Fatu.
stuff. Yep, Jacob Fatu is signed with the WWE, and update on Big E. But let's get the NJPW first. Let's get to John Moxley winning this. Our friend John.
Yeah. So and New Japan, they had their Windy City Riot card on Friday night.
Yeah,
And, a couple things that I noticed from that show.
sure.
One, the the footage from All In that was aired on Dynamite made Jack Perry a much bigger star. Like he got a huge reaction in Chicago. Um, Obviously giving middle fingers to the crowd. He took on Ren Narito,
Yeah,
lost, but shook hands after the fact and gave the Chicago crowd the middle finger. Um,
funny because AEW has, I believe, was it All Out in Chicago this year? That should be a good old time.
no, they announced their pay-per-view schedule like
Yeah,
this week, but
I think All Out's in Chicago.
I can't remember off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but you're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so also in a move I didn't actually see coming was Tetsuya Naito's IWGP title reign came to a very abrupt end
Yeah,
at the hands of John Moxley.
yeah.
Uh,
That's well, at least we now know where John has been, right?
yeah. So John Moxley actually becomes the first member of the Triple Gold Club for wrestling, anyway, where
Did you say first member?
he is the first member to hold the WWE, AEW, and IWGP World Championships.
That's
Uh,
impressive.
Kurt Angle held the IWGP TNA and WWE World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you can kind of throw Kurt Angle in that mix, but
Can't you throw Styles in there too?
um
Because was Styles the TNA champion? He was definitely
oh, actually
IWGP.
you're right, you're right. If you talk about TNA, then it's a longer
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
It's a longer list because you do have AJ Styles, but I will get to him when we talk about SmackDown
absolutely.
because Cody Rhodes actually brought up AJ Styles in his promo.
Yes, we'll get to that. We'll get to our SmackDown review right after this video.
Sure. Um,
Uh,
so
yeah,
Moxley beat Naito with
in a
it took a couple of death rays.
in a bloody match as well, from what the pictures I saw.
Yeah, so Mox got busted open, which I mean is kind of becoming the norm.
It's a Moxie thing.
Right. And but you know what? He fought back. He kicked out of the Destino,
Yep.
which is a move that very rarely people kick out of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he kicked out of the Destino from Naito, came back with a Death Rider. Naito kicked out, and eventually it all built to one more Death Rider, um, one more Death Rider, and Moxley wins the. I was not expecting this, by the way.
I don't think
Uh,
anybody really was. I expected Naito to hold that thing till well, Wrestle Kingdom.
no, well, look, New Japan kind of like they don't. they're not big on year-long title reigns. Like
Fair enough.
they've done it with Okada, they've done it with Tanahashi, they've done it with like their big stars. But typically they don't they don't typically hold them for very long, like usually a few months here and there.
Yeah,
Um, but if you want to go into a double gold club with the IWGP and WWE title, he joins Brock Lesnar and
and
Kurt Angle
Scott and Styles.
and AJ Styles. Um, so like when you think about how like when you kind of break it down, like it's really cool that, you know, and it's funny because after WrestleMania,
Yeah,
someone put out that for the first time since I believe it was 2014, that it was the first time that no member of the Shield
yeah,
was world champion or any champion of any kind.
yeah. Yeah, it's the first time for a while because
And then literally 5 days later, John Moxley wins the IWGP championship.
not to be a dick to like people who are certain tribal chief followers and all those things. So we like the tribal chief here as well as we also like Seth Rollins as well. I mean, we love John as well. But if you want to get real technical, despite Roman's title reign, how long it was, you almost argue that John's more decorated of a champion than Roman and Seth are. You almost argue it. When you think
So
about it,
so what?
they've all had a
John
US.
John is now a 5-time world champion.
Is that including WWE?
Yes.
Okay, so he's
Yeah.
3-time AEW, right?
3-time AEW,
Yep.
1-time WWE, and
Yeah.
now he's the current IWGP world champion.
He's also held the US title on several couple occasions, the IC title on occasion,
He's held the tag
tag
titles.
titles.
Yeah. I believe he has the Grand Slam in WWE.
Yeah. Except for no, he doesn't have the NXT. He never held the
No,
NXT
no,
title.
the Grand Slam in WWE is one of the world titles,
Yeah.
the IC and United States, plus one of the tag titles.
Hmm. Okay, so
So,
Roman's got that too, and so does Seth, I think.
right. So Seth,
No, Seth ever won the US title? He won the
yeah.
IC title several times, you know that.
Um,
I can't remember if he's won the US.
no, I actually can't. I don't know. Maybe I can look it up while we're talking here. But um, while we're talking, let's move on to the next topic here.
Yeah, let's move on to the T.
Big E, right?
Yes, want to do Big E or do you want to talk Vince? Let's talk Big E
Let's
quickly
go.
because
Let's go Big E because that'll be quick.
yeah, Big E. So Big E tweet today, I believe, talked about how his neck he is pain free. That's the first and foremost thing with Big E. He is pain free as it currently right now. But by the looks of it, though, the one part that's supposed to solidify and get back to normal has not in his
Right.
vertebrae. There's a good possibility, and he said on Twitter today, on X today too, that he is probably never going to wrestle again. It's a very strong possibility he is not.
Yeah. So just after a quick little search, Seth
Yeah.
is a Grand Slam champion.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, Big E, yeah, he said he had a 2-year scan,
Yep.
like a 2-year post neck injury scan,
Mm-hmm.
and his C1 has not developed any new bone yet, but it is kind of healed,
Yeah, he says he doesn't have any pain at all.
which is fantastic.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
probably the better news.
at the end of the day, all I want for that man is to live a pain-free life.
Yeah.
Um, I think that he's charismatic enough that if he's not going to get back in the ring, I think you can I think you can transition him to commentary
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job on commentary. He did it during WrestleMania weekend. He did a really good job, him with CM Punk on there because they were both injured.
on
So
the kickoff panels.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think Even if you want to put him as like say the New Day manager, the managerial role, you could have a good time with that as well.
Problem with managers, though,
Well,
I mean, I think Paul Heyman's the exception to this rule.
he's like more
But
of an
event,
advocate.
but eventually, any type of manager mouthpiece type role is eventually going to have to take a bump,
Yeah, that's kind of point.
right?
It's just
Uh,
a suggestion.
no, and that's cool. I agree with you. I think that Big E would be really good as like the mouthpiece for the New Day. But the problem is like Xavier and Kofi can carry promos just as well.
Well, that's just it too.
So they don't really need Big E to do that.
I'm just thinking more or less of a place for him. That's it.
No, and that's fine. And if kickoff panels and maybe Stardom, maybe have him replace Booker T with Vic Joseph on NXT,
Or
or
have,
or add him as a third man.
yeah, that'd be. I could see that on NXT. That'd be a lot of fun, actually.
And I think he would be like more akin on commentary to like a Samoa Joe.
Oh, Samoa
You
Joe's great on commentary. I don't give a damn
you
what you say.
do you remember in 2020, early 2020 when Samoa Joe was on commentary?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So I think Big E would be well suited for that
Yeah.
because I think he has the talking ability and I think he has the charisma to do
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
we're so
I think it'll be fine.
have you had a chance to watch the behind WrestleMania documentary they put out on YouTube?
Not yet.
Okay, I haven't either, so maybe we'll talk about that on Raw.
Yeah, when I get a chance to see it.
Um, I did see, however, the Damian Priest vlog they put out.
I saw probably. I think probably on TikTok. I saw.
Yeah, so honestly, like this was Damian Priest like you've never seen him before.
Yeah, I saw The Rock give him a hug and I think it congratulate him as well. So it's shows his
The
level of respect that he has amongst his peers.
The Rock, Undertaker, CM Punk, like
Yeah,
literally everybody was congratulating this guy.
he's worked hard.
He's worked his ass
Like
off.
he's been
And
one like other than Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio, he's probably one of the most standout guys on Judgment Day. I mean, the whole group in general has stood out very well over the past year. I just find that Dave Priest is really stuck because like Mommy's like at a different level than all of them. Like she is just here. It's like Priest is here. They got Dom somewhere here, and the rest are just here. Like no offense to Finn Balor fans out there, but like Finn's better kind of on his own. Even though I like the whole group thing,
yeah,
but like he's done well. But like Priest is on a different level. I mean, he's not mommy level, but he's very well. I'm interested to see what happens with his title reign. I'm very interested to see where they go with this. I kind of think he's going to be a sacrificial lamb to Walter. Or sorry,
but
Gunther. Gunther. I shouldn't say Walter. I don't know why I call him Walter once in a while.
it's all right. And actually, on the topic of Finn Balor,
Yeah.
Kevin Owens had an interview this week, and he said that if he has another WrestleMania in him,
Who, Kevin?
because yeah, because he's such good friends with Finn Balor,
Yeah.
he would want to have one more WrestleMania match with Finn Balor.
I would welcome that.
I would welcome that too, but I think we're burying the headline here. I think Owens is very close to retirement, and another guy who has voiced that he's close to retirement is AJ Styles.
Yeah, AJ said a while back, well, his last contract, this was my last WWE contract, then he re-signed another contract. So
Right.
I think it's also I think look, like I've said before on this channel, I've said before, and we've seen it in public life nowadays too. 40 nowadays is not a death sentence. Some people do their best work now in their 40s. I'm one of them.
So AJ Styles is 46 years old.
Mhm.
Um, and he'll be 47 in June.
Well, he looks pretty good for 47.
He does. He looks in the best shape of his career. The thing is with AJ is he's got that like kind of Undertaker syndrome where he doesn't want to go out where people are saying like, "Oh, you should have seen him back then."
Yeah.
He wants to be like, "Oh, like this is my guy."
Well, if that's the case, let's say hypothetically Owens, not Owens, but let's say hypothetically AJ Styles. Who do you think who retires AJ?
Um,
If it has to be in WWE, who retires AJ?
I think Braun Breaker honestly would be a really good guy to take AJ Styles out permanently. Um,
I don't know about that.
well, because you think about it, right? So if say this is the last year we get AJ Styles,
To be honest,
you
I think he does 1 year in AEW.
you can build up Braun Breaker over the next year because he's been doing those squash matches. He had another one on SmackDown that we'll talk about when we get to SmackDown. Um, you can build up Braun Breaker where, and honestly, you look at the work he did in NXT, the kid can work.
Yeah,
And I think he would be a great final opponent where, put you put over a new generation of guy, right? Where he's kind of like the total package. And on the other side, you give a guy to AJ that can fucking work with a capital W.
mhm.
And AJ's always been good in that little, like that David Goliath situation. If you look at the
If
the
you look
work
at his
he
match with Brock,
you look at his match with Brock, but you also look back to his matches with the Abyss back in the day.
yeah,
You look at you know, Matt Morgan, you look at some of the giants that TNA had and some of the like the matches that AJ was able to get out of Abyss,
yeah,
Chris Parks is no pun intended, but nothing short of phenomenal.
yeah.
Especially like, okay, here's homework for the audience. Go watch Lockdown 2005
Mhm.
and look at AJ Styles versus Abyss, which was the main event that night. And it was a number one contenders match.
Mhm.
And go watch AJ and Abyss just fucking go. And both of them are in their prime at the time. You know what I mean?
My pick for AJ Styles probably if he I think he goes to I think he does 1 year in AEW with some of his buddies, and
Mm,
he if he does retire there, I think it's probably either MJF or Adam Cole that does it.
I mean, he could go that route if he wants
He
to,
he may if he does it, it's 1 year. I think he does
but
1 year
the
at
quote
most.
the reason why I'm saying this is the quote he put out this week was that like he gets out of bed in the morning and he's like, well, shit, I've been doing this more than half my life. And like, it sounds to me like he doesn't have a very good quality of life right now. So I don't know if he would even attempt to go to AEW.
Time will tell. That's all I gotta say.
No,
Time will tell.
100%. Like, listen, he could go ahead and change his mind, go to AEW.
He changed his mind on his WWE contract. He said he was gonna sign that. He said he was gonna put that away like I think it was like 4 years, 3 years ago, and he just still resigned.
But he signed a 5-year deal when he did it.
Hmm.
So like if that contract's coming up soon, I would assume like this might be the last we see of AJ Styles.
We'll see.
It's
Uh,
weird because like you and I have lived through two generations full of wrestlers.
Yeah.
We lived through the Attitude Era,
Yeah.
and now we're living through, or sorry, the Attitude / Ruthless Aggression, because you kind of group the two into one,
Yeah.
because there was some crossover there.
Mhm.
And then you have whatever era this is, and now like some of these guys are, getting ready to retire themselves.
Yeah.
Like your Kevin Owens and your AJ Styles.
Well, Kevin's turning 40, though.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. It's not like it's not like I would never knock anybody with the idea of retirement. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And speaking of retirement or people leaving their associations, Vince McMahon is completely getting the hell out of TKO, 100%, because they're moving. He is selling the rest of his stock, which is apparently 8.5 something million shares of TKO, and he has a setup
He's
ready to
out.
go, and he's out. This is something I said months ago. That this is probably what they're going to do. I think you agree with me on that. There's something that TKO wanted. They want him out and they want him gone. They want him nowhere around the product whatsoever. This is basically the last remnants of Vince McMahon ever in
In
wrestling.
combat sports.
Yeah, you'll never see or hear from him again after this,
No,
unless he gets convicted and they send him to jail for the rest of his God-given life, which
right.
won't be
And
long. Which probably won't be long.
so again, once the lawsuit came out in January, the Janelle Grant lawsuit, I think the writing was on the wall.
Oh yeah,
We both talked about this kind of at length
yeah,
and I think that um I think it's you know I think as soon as the allegation came out, they were gonna pick him apart piece by piece.
oh yeah,
And because at the end of the day, any publicly traded company cannot afford somebody like that on their board
well they
or
can afford the bad press to begin with.
100%.
Especially something like WWE where sponsorship at times is a lot.
Right. And I think that it's just a matter of time. It was just a matter of time before they kind of dilute all of his
Yeah,
shares and just kind of buy him out.
yeah. He's
I
gonna
know
sell them all.
I know they made a large purchase against him last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, somewhere along the lines of like 11 something million shares, some kind of shit like that. Now it's
Right.
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah.
owns like 11% left, and they're about to get rid of that 11%. So
Yeah.
it's
So,
yeah, he's done. It's gone.
yeah,
You're never gonna hear from Vince again, right? It's
fine.
just which
Fine
is
by me.
fine. And to be honest, with you, this is like I said, this is the we've sponsorship thing is a huge thing. We've seen it a lot, but we've seen it with the Blue Jays. We've seen it with other teams. The minute you do something wrong, something along those lines, there you're automatically shelled. The NFL Network a number of years ago went through something similar with allegations. People like Marshall Faulk, Keith Evans, all got axed from the NFL Network.
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice hit his wife. That was on footage, but the allegation with Marshall Faulk and Heath Evans about sexual misconduct in the workplace and other things
Or
like that.
what about Adrian Peterson? Remember the whole thing about hitting his kid with a switch?
Yeah, but that kind of got that
I
one
mean,
there was a little different because he
he's
still ended
still
up playing, and it's because I think it was a little differently just based on the fact that it was his child. He kind of had a
he's
legitimate
still one
reason.
of the most beloved figures
Yeah,
in NFL.
yeah,
Right, is Adrian Peterson. And like, it's not like this guy doesn't have a checkered past. Look at Tyreek Hill. Look at Kareem Hunt.
mm-hmm.
Ezekiel Elliott comes to mind.
Well, they all a lot of players have checkers. Look, a lot of people have checker
Right.
pasts.
So, but at the same time, in this day and age, and I have examples in Major League Baseball too. Aroldis Chapman, Marcelo Zuna.
Well, Marcelo, okay, yeah, but we're differentiating the thing though too, right? One was assaulting towards a woman, the other one was his own child. Adrian Peterson was his own child. So it's
Mm,
that there is a very different subject because one is his child and it's disciplining in a some way. Some people, like I said before, I got beat at times with a kid as a
I
belt.
think I think you
So
can all blanket it under IPV, with the exception of Adrian Peterson, because that was his child.
mhm.
But you can
But everything
all
else, yeah, absolutely.
you can blanket it under that umbrella that is intimate partner violence.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, like with kind of the sudden, you know, perhaps trigger warning ahead for anybody listening. Um, but you know, Chapman, look at Aroldis Chapman. We both like baseball. Aroldis Chapman like firing guns and shit in his garage because he was mad at his woman. Or Marcelo Zuna, who plays for, I believe, the
Atlanta.
Braves now.
He still plays for the
Yeah,
Braves. He
yeah.
played for the Braves when it happened. He's back with the Braves now. He's just not the same player he was.
I, I honestly I thought he was with St. Louis when it happened, and now he's just with Atlanta. But yeah, you're right. You know, and then you look at what Trevor Bauer's going through.
Well, Trevor Bauer's got to be kind of exonerated from the whole thing as well.
Right, but there's also pending lawsuits against him still, and he's basically been blacklisted.
Well, he'll be blacklisted because, well, that's baseball.
But that's also society.
It is society. They shut you out now for telling the truth
Sure. So
for the most part.
to relate it back to Vince McMahon, you know,
Yeah.
it's we knew this was coming, and I'm not surprised that this finally happened.
Yeah, I'm nearby.
I mean, it doesn't really surprise me it took this long either, so
No,
that's pretty much all I really have to say on that
and
subject.
pretty much that's the news for the day too. That's pretty much
Yeah.
it. The news that's going
Oh,
on for the
actually,
week.
one more thing I want to bring up on
What's
this
that?
news cycle type
Sure.
thing. Kenny Omega talking about Brawl Out
Oh, interesting.
on his Twitch stream last
Hmm.
night.
Okay.
And he was basically saying, like, he doesn't feel very valuable as an EVP. And his role in Brawl Out was his love for animals took over. So all he wanted to do was make sure that Punk's dog, Larry, uh, was taken out of the situation, which is what we've heard from every account of what happened that night.
It sounds as if the brawl out stuff is more or less Punk and the Young Bucks and not Kenny Omega involved at all. Kenny kind of just throw it in there because he is part of the EVP part people. But from what I understand too, it seems to be mostly the Bucks and Hangman Page against CM Punk.
Right,
That's
but
kind of
at
what
the
the way that's the way it looks.
sure. But Omega also went on to say that him and Punk have this mutual respect, and after the whole incident happened, they've both reached out to each other, uh, and they're on good terms as far as Kenny Omega is concerned.
Well, then that's a good sign.
Right. So that's pretty much all the news that kind of broke. Um,
This week,
yes,
really.
this week.
And
Um,
there is one more, but we're going to mention that on SmackDown when we get to that.
sure.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh yeah.
But
Our Jacob Fatu.
yep, we're going to talk about that with SmackDown because
Sure.
it's probably going to be involved SmackDown. Other than that, then that was the news, ladies and gentlemen. Here, thank you for listening to DA Wrestling Podcast. Here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow down below on all major podcast sites and on YouTube, folks. Make sure you join yourself. I am Andrew Purcell, and you find me on Twitter, right? DA Wrestling Podcast, DA Wrestling Podcast, and on Twitter,
AMP 82, I
yeah.
believe, because I just followed you on.
Don't follow me on that one there. That's my own private one, folks. But yeah, DA Wrestling Podcast, find us there. Doug and D Lions at Twitter as well.
D-Lines 1991. Yeah.
DA Sports on TikTok. Don't forget to follow us on everywhere else, guys. Make sure you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And coming up next, shortly after this will be the SmackDown review. Thank you
Our
very much,
next
everybody.
episode will be the SmackDown After Mania. We'll catch you down the road.
Exactly. Have a good one, folks. Peace out.